And so the first pair is Sadashiva Samarambhan. I will first chant and then you repeat after me. So please unmute yourself. Sadashiva Shankaracharya Madhyamam
सदाशिवसमारम्भां
Shankaracharya
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
Asmadacharya Vande Guru Paramparam
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां
Vande Guru
गुरुपरम्पराम्
Parampara.
Om Sahana Bhavatu
Om
ॐ
Sahana
सहना
Bhavatu
भवतु
Sahanau
Sahana
Bhunaktu
सहनौ
Sahanam
भुनक्तु
Bhunaktu
Sahaviryam Karvavahai
वीर्यं
Sahaviryam
करवावहै
Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma
Tejasvinavadhitam
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
Vivai
Om Shanti
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 Shanti So now please open up the PDF on Gita Dhyanam and we will chant the entire Dhyanam will chant first. I'll go line by line so that you can repeat after me. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
ॐ
परमात्मने
नमः
नमः
अथ गीता ध्यानम्
अथ
दानं
ध्यान
ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधिताम्
ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधिताम्
भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं
भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं
व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना
व्यासेन ग्रथितामुनिना
मुनिना
मध्ये महाभारतम्
मध्ये महाभारतम्
अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं
अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीम्
अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम्
अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम्
अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि
अम्ब अनुसन्धामि
भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी
भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी
नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे
नमस्तुते व्यासविशालबुद्धे
पुल्लार्विन्दायतपत्रनेत्र
पुल्लारविन्दायतनेत्र
येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः
येन
प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः
प्रज्वालितो
प्रपन्नपारिजाताय I'd request you to follow me, so don't repeat with me. Totra vetraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Geetamritaduhe Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogda Gopalanandana Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Geetamritam Mahat Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadrata Jala Okay, so these lines are a bit tough, so let me do it again. Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadrata Jala Gandhara Nilotpala Shalyagrahavati Kripena Vahani Karnena Velakula Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Ashwathama Vikarna Ghora Makara Duryodhana Vartini Sotirna Khalu Pandavairana Nadi
स्तोत्रेण
वैरणन्ति
कैवर्तकः केशवः आराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् आराशर्यवचः सरोजममलम् गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटम् नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहर हर
लोके
लोके सज्जन षट्पदैरहर हर पीयमानं मुदा भूयाद् भारत पंकजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालम् पंगुं लंघयते गिरिम् यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः
यस्यान्तं न विद्युदसुराणा
देवाय तस्मै नमः
देवाय नमः
देवाय तस्मै नमः
देवाय नमः
देवाय तस्मै नमः
देवाय नमः
Okay, now I am muting all of y'all so that there is no disturbance in the class, because if disturbance takes place, the recording won't take properly. And if you have any questions, you can interrupt, you can unmute yourself, ask a question, and then please mute yourself again. Okay, so this Gita Dhyanam, these are prayer verses. And of course, as you know, they are known as Gita Dhyana Shlokas. Now, in Shastram, in any Shastram, traditionally you do not begin the text without a prayer. So that is a tradition in the Indian scriptures. Any text has to begin with a prayer only. And in this case, the prayer is Gita Dhyana Shloka. And these are usually studied before the actual study of the Gita begins. What is the purpose of these Dhyana Shlokas? It is to invoke the grace of Ishvara, so that I will be able to successfully complete the study of the Gita. Why do I invoke the grace? Because there are many obstacles which come in the way of any activity that I want to do, even it be worldly activities also. And in the case of Shastram, so many obstacles can come. And therefore I invoke the grace of the Lord, so that during that period of the class, I am not faced with any obstacles. Now these prayer verses, one must remember. So the first question is, where do we find the Bhagavad Gita? Where is the Bhagavad Gita found? Do you know? Which is the original text in which the Gita is found?
Mahabharata.
Mahabharata. And therefore it is important to tell here that these prayer verses are not found in the Mahabharata, because they are not part of the writings of Vyasacharya, who wrote the Mahabharata and therefore the Gita also. But these prayer verses are found in one of the commentaries on the Gita. That commentary is called Gudartha Deepika. So it's a very beautiful name. Gudaha meaning hidden, Artha meaning the meaning, and therefore Gudartha means the hidden meaning, and Deepika is the lamp which throws the light on the hidden and deeper meanings of the Bhagavad Gita.
Acharya, what is it called? Gunartha.
Gudartha Deepika.
Gunartha Deepika.
So this is written by a very famous Acharya called Madhusudana Saraswati. And if you look at Gudartha Deepika, it's basically a bhashyam. It's a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. He prefixes this summary. He begins the work with this summary. And therefore, we also use this whenever we study the Gita. We also use these verses as the prayer verses. And as I said, a prayer verse is very essential before we start a text. As you can see, there are 9 verses. And in these 9 verses, actually, there is a mixture of various topics in these verses. The topics are basically 3 different types of namaskara. Actually, 4 different types of namaskara. The obeisance, Madhusudana Saraswati, he offers namaskara to 4 different entities. And the first one is the Namaskara to Mahabharata. So Mahabharata Namaskara as the most sacred book which teaches me. That is one of the Namaskaras. The second Namaskara is to Bhagavad Gita itself. And looking upon Gita as Saraswati Devi, the embodiment of wisdom, of knowledge. Madhusudana Saraswati offers his Namaskara to Bhagavad Gita also. So that's second Namaskara. The third Namaskara is to Vyasacharya, the author of the Mahabharata, and hence also author of the Gita. And the fourth Namaskara is to Lord Krishna, who gives the Gita teaching to Arjuna. So remember, the teaching came from Krishna. Vyasacharya is only a reporter, giving the teaching, receiving the teaching and reproducing it for us. So there are these four Namaskaras: Mahabharata Namaskara, Krishna Namaskara, Vyasa Namaskara, and Gita Namaskara. Unfortunately, these are not appearing in sequence. It is not that first the Mahabharata Namaskara comes, then the Gita Namaskara comes. They are scattered all over the 9 verses. And therefore, for us to have a cogent, logical way of doing it, we need to rearrange these verses. And therefore, when I am going to discuss the Namaskaras, I won't be discussing it sequentially verse by verse. I'll be discussing it Namaskara wise. So the first Namaskara is where to Mahabharatam itself. And for this, we have to look at verse number 7. So verse number 7 is Parasharya Vacha Sarojamamalam Gitartha Gandotkatam, etc. etc. Okay. Now let's look at what it says. Parasharya Vacha Sarojamamalam. Okay. Parashara. Parashara is the father of Vyasacharya. So Parasharya means the son of Parasara. Parasara is the father, Parasharya is the son. So these little, twists you have to get used to. Like Kunti is the mother, Kaunteya is the son. Right? So in Sanskrit, a simple inflection in the words will make it son of. And therefore Parasharya means son of Parashara. And the name is Vyasa. So we are talking about Vyasacharya. So Parasharya Sarojam. Sarojam is the pond or the lake or the sea, you can say. So waters. So Parasharya Sarojam Vachaha. The breakup has to be proper. Vachaha means words. Sarojam is the waters. Parasharya is Vyasacharya. So Parasharya Vacham Sarojam means born from the ocean of the words of Vyasacharya. Okay, that's the first one. Then Amalam. Malam is what? Malam is impurity. Amalam is spotless, no impurity. So in Sanskrit, Malam na vidyate yasmin tat amalam. Where there is no mala, that is amalam. The next word is Gita Artha Gandhotkatam. So Gitanam Arthaha is Gita Arthaha. The meaning of the Gita is Gita Arthaha. Gita Artha Gandhotkatam. Gandaha Utkatam. Okay, that also has to be seen. Then Nana Khyana Kesaram. So Nana Khyana Kesaram he's referring to the flower in which there are many stamens, those little things which come out. He says this Gita has many stories which are being made compared to the stamens which come out of a flower. And therefore he says Nana Akhyakani. Akhyani is a story. Nana Akhyani Kesarani. These stories which are in the Gita. There are multiple stories in the Mahabharata. And all of them reveal, ultimately all of them are revealed by the Gita itself. The entire meaning is revealed by the Gita itself. And what are all these stories about? Hari Katha Sambodhana. They're all about Lord Hari only, about Lord Vishnu only. So Harehe Katha Hari Katha. So for the time being, let me not go too much into these individual Sanskrit meanings. I don't want to, discourage you on the first day. So broadly, let me say, look at the last line of this verse. Bharata Pankajam na Shreyase Bhuyat. Take that first word, Bharata Pankajam. Bhuyat, Bharata Pankajam. So you have to break it up into Bharata Pankajam Bhuyat. Na Shreyase is the last two words of the last line. Okay. Now, the word Naha, the Visarga is very important. Normally, what does the word Na mean? As Hindi speakers, what would you say? What does the word Na mean?
No.
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 But when the Visarga is added, it becomes Naha. And in Sanskrit, Naha means for me. A completely different meaning. Okay. So there is a story that Ravana was trying to get a boon from Lord Shiva. So he wanted to say that I should not be subject to death, right? Which means Mena Mrityu. That's what he wanted to say. But by mistake, he said Me Naha Mrityu. And Lord Shiva said Tathastu. What does that mean? Me Naha Mrityu. Me, of course, means me. Na Mrityu would have meant no death should come to me. But he used the Visarga in his chanting and he said Me Naha Mrityu. That Visarga made it may death come to me instead of may death not come to me. So the story is just to indicate how important the pronunciation is in Sanskrit. So when you say Naha Shreyase, Shreyas means what is good for me. So when he says Naha Shreyase, he's saying what is good for me. And if you take it as Na Shreyase, it will mean don't give me what is good. You see, what is good for me, give me. Okay. So Mahabharatam, it is composed by whom? Vyasacharya. Composed means it is basically a smriti. It is heard and whatever he has heard, he has written down and it is called a scripture. We call it itihasa. Itihasa literally means iti ha asa. This is how it was. That is how the etymological meaning of itihasa is taken as history. Iti ha asa. And even in our history itself, his story, that story which has already taken place. So almost a similar meaning, itihasa. So here, in any itihasa, the historical events are actually there. The actual historical events will be there. And of course, to make it interesting, there will be some fiction added, some masala added. So whenever you look at our itihasas like Ramayana and Mahabharata, you must remember that there is a base of a historical event, but the details may have been padded up so that it is made more interesting for people. The main theme will always be history, but there will be padding and addition so that it becomes interesting. So fictional historical literature, you can call it. And literally meaning this is how it happened. And if you go by that, Mahabharata stories are supposed to be real events and slight modifications here and there for making it more interesting. And the Bharata indicates that there was a dynasty, Vamsha, called Bharata Vamsha, the Bharata dynasty. And that is why it is called Mahabharata. Now, anybody knows how many verses Mahabharatam has?
700?
700.
More than lakh.
700 is Gita.
Gita.
Oh, Maha.
More than lakhs.
Mahabharata has 100,000 verses and above. Okay, so that is a huge and probably the biggest literature in the world. No other literature, historical literature, has so many verses. And in this verse, Vyasacharya is Madhusudana Saraswati is telling us what is the purpose of the Mahabharata. So he says, Naha Shreyase. Shreyas means prosperity, well-being, happiness, Mangalam. And really speaking, the word Shreyas, when used in the scripture, it means moksha only. So he says, Bhuyat Shreyase. Let this Mahabharata be a source for moksha for me. Bharata Pankajam, we'll come to that. Right now he says, Shreyas Bhuyate. Let this particular Mahabharata, let the study of the Mahabharata, let it transform me emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. Let it grant me liberation. That's why he says Naha, for us, for me, for the people who are the students of the Bhagavad Gita. This Mahabharatam should be a source of moksha only. And then Bharata Pankajam. Bharata Pankajam is a word, is a usage. We are comparing Mahabharata to a lotus flower, Pankajam, Pankaja flower. A lotus is a very attractive flower. Why? Because of its beauty, because of its fragrance, and the way, and it floats in the water. So it caters to your nose because of the smell. It caters to your eyes because of the form, and therefore he says, this Pankajam, this Bharata Pankajam, this Mahabharata is exactly like the lotus flower. It is good to see or look at, and it is good to smell, it is good to taste. It's generally, he's making a very beautiful analogy saying that let this lotus of the Mahabharata be like a lotus flower. The lotus flower is very pleasing to everybody. Let this Mahabharata text also be very pleasing to me. So having said that, there is a tendency among some people. I don't know if you all have heard it, but there is a saying that one should keep the Ramayana at home. One should not keep the Mahabharata at home. Have you heard it?
Yes.
Yes.
What is the meaning?
Because they feel that the Mahabharata is a story about war and they don't want the fighting in the house.
Yeah, so because it deals with family disputes and quarrel, the misconception is that if you keep the Mahabharata in your house, your family will also quarrel. Okay, this is a very big misconception. It's a very blind belief. And here, Madhusudana Saraswati is telling us the Mahabharatam is the most auspicious thing to keep in your house. Why? Because Nashreyase, it will give you moksha. So, whenever you hear this from anybody, you quote these lines to them and say, no, the scripture itself says that the study of Mahabharata will give you moksha. Where is the question of any family quarrel at all? These are all only blind beliefs. So, now we go back to the first line. Parasharya vacha saroja mamalam. If we are comparing Mahabharata to a lotus, naturally the question is, where does the lotus grow?
In dirty water.
In the pond. So which is the pond out of which the Mahabharata lotus has come? This is the question. Because you are comparing it to a pankajam, a lotus. And therefore it says, Parasharya vacha saroja mamalam. Saroja means it is the water. And what is this water? Vachaha. Vachaha means the words. The words coming out of who? Parasharya. Parasharya is Vyasacharya, whose father is Parashara. It's a Parashara Putra, Parasharya. So Vachaha, the words coming out of the mouths of Vyasacharya. And the mouth is compared to what? Sarojam, the pond, the waters. So Vacha Sarojam, or the lake of words, or the sea of words. Why sea of words? 100,000 verses. The words simply don't stop at all. And therefore, Mahabharatam lotus. And not only that, this lotus is Amalam. Amalam, pure lotus without any impurities. The interesting thing is that a name given to lotus is also Pankajam, right? Now, Pankajam is broken into Pankha plus Jam. Jam is from the Sanskrit Ja Dhatu, born out of or produced out of. Pankha means what? Dirty water. And therefore, Pankajam means that which is born out of dirty water, or which is produced by the dirty water. So even though this water is slushy and muddied, this Pankajam, born out of that water, is Amalam, without any doshaha, without any defects. So Amalam means Shuddham. So this teaching is pure, without any defect in terms of grammar, in terms of teaching. So grammatically, there is no defect. Content-wise, there is no defect. And therefore, the teaching is Shuddham. What are we talking about? We are talking about the teaching of the Mahabharata, or the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. So are we okay with my speed and whatnot? Are we going too fast, too slow?
It's very interesting.
You're fine, sir.
Yes, Acharya.
So if I'm a Malayali, right? And Malayalis generally tend to speak fast. And I'm the fastest among the fastest. So if I speak fast, please stop me, okay?
At some point I did miss but I'll ask the question later.
Okay.
Raviji,
Yeah, Hanji.
Namaste ji. The
Namaste.
third line, could you just go ahead and explain the third line, ji? Loka Sajjana Sat Padharya.
We are coming. We have
Oh,
not
sorry.
finished.
I thought we are finished. Sorry,
No,
sorry.
we have not finished. We are still
Okay.
in the
Okay,
process.
okay, sorry. Thank you,
Ravi,
ji.
Ravi ji,
Hanji.
I missed, probably need to understand this Mahabharata का जो आपने अब समझाया था वो कि दोबारा से यदि अभी बोलेंगे या बाद में कि
In the
why
sense, Mahabharata का क्या समझाया था means?
कि why is it called Mahabharata?
It is because it is the Bharata family, Bharata Vams. Bharata Vams is that family in which all these people were born.
And why Maha?
Maha is
Big.
is very great. The war was very great. The war involving that family was a great war because all the nations of that time were involved. And therefore Mahabharata. Maha means great. So the
Okay.
great war in which the Bharata family is involved. That is the story of the
Okay.
Mahabharata. Okay. Then you look at the third word of the first line of the seventh verse. Gita, Artha. That word has to be broken properly. Gita, Artha, Gandha, Utkatam. So the trick in Sanskrit is to be able to get the breakup of the words. So once the breakup of the words is known, then you will not find any difficulty. So Gita, Artha, Gandha, Utkatam. Gita, Artha, Gandha, Utkatam. Okay. Utkatam means Uttam, superior. Gandha is fragrance. So Gandha Utkatam, very powerful, very beautiful fragrance, which is what Gita Artha, the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. So Artha here, in Sanskrit, Artha has many meanings. Usually can be translated as essence, but contextually meanings change. So here Gita Artha means Gita ka artha kya hai? What is the main essence of the teaching of the Gita? And that Gita Artha, that teaching, he says, is Utkatam Gandha. It is, and Gandha, remember, though in Hindi, Gandha means what?
Smell.
Dirty.
dirty smell.
Dirty smell, right? But Gandha really means the fragrance.
Fragrance.
That is why you say Durgandha and Sugandha. You have to prefix. If it is bad smell, Durgandha. If it is good smell, Sugandha. Gandha simply means without the attributes, just the thing which is captured by your nose. So your nose has got the capacity to capture any fragrance, odor. Okay, so Gandha here is fragrance, and he's saying it is powerful. It is a Utkatam, highest, most beautiful fragrance. So in the Mahabharata, if the Mahabharata is the lotus, what he's saying is that supposing we are comparing Mahabharata to the lotus, then what is the fragrance coming out of the lotus? The Bhagavad Gita.
Very nice. Oh,
You know, if you look at the beauty of the language, the Mahabharata is a lotus. The fragrance, the sugandha of the lotus is what? The Bhagavad Gita. And the lotus becomes attractive because of the sugandh. And therefore Mahabharata becomes attractive because of what? Because of Bhagavad Gita only. I hope you are able to capture the beauty of this little, the one verse. You know, we have been struggling with this one verse for the past few minutes. Okay. Now we are on the second line. Nana Kyanaka Kesaram. So that you break up into Nana
na Khyana
Akhyana Kesaram.
Kesar. Oh,
Nana Akhyana
Akhyana
Kesaram.
Kesaram.
Nana means many.
Many.
Akhyana means stories. Kesaram means the stamen, the filament which is there in the flower. Right? Any flower will have several filaments. And here Akhyana is compared to the filaments. And if a rose, if you take for example, it has several of those filaments inside. Each story in the Mahabharatam is taken as one of the filaments. And therefore he says, Nana Akhyana, many
Akhyana.
stories, which are
Akhyanak
the
Kesaram.
many filaments of that Mahabharata lotus. Okay.
Acharya ji, why do we have an additional ka there? Nana Akhyana Kesaram.
Akhyanaka,
Acha, okay.
like Akhyana, Nana Akhyanaka Kesaram.
Okay.
Okay, good. And therefore he says, this Mahabharatam is one book. Akhyanaka means like the stories. Akhyana means stories. Akhyanaka means like the stories. So Nana Akhyanaka Kesaram. The filaments are like the stories, or the stories are like the filaments. You can take it either way. And this Mahabharatam is one text, but individually there are hundreds and hundreds of beautiful little stories. Right? For example, you have the story of Shakuntala. Kali. Who wrote Shakuntala?
Kalidas.
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 There's the story of Harishchandra. All these stories, they are found in Mahabharata only. And therefore, many, many stories which can be compared to filaments from the lotus of Mahabharata. Okay. And then he says, the fourth complex word of the second line, Hari Katha
Katha
Sambodhana
Sambodhana Bodhitam.
Abodhitam.
Abodhitam.
Sambodhana
Bodhana
Abodhitam. Okay, Abodhitam. So now look at the individual part of that. Sambodhana means the narration. Narration of what? Hari Katha, stories of Lord Krishna. Mahabharata is filled with hundreds and hundreds of stories of Lord Krishna, and therefore Hari Katha Sambodhanam means those stories connected to Lord Krishna. Through those stories, this Mahabharata has expanded into this 100,000 verses. It will become a big text. Then Sajjana Shat Padaihi Pepiyamanam. So this you have to understand carefully. Shat Padaihi. You will break that first word into Sajjana, Shat, Padaihi. Okay. Shad is what? 6. Padaihi means legs. Shat Padaihi means 6-legged. You have to understand how this is being written. 6, an insect with 6 legs. Pepiyamanam. Now it is implied here that there is an insect with 6 legs. You have to put them all together, then you will know which insect has got 6 legs and which goes towards the lotus flower.
Honeybee.
Honeybee.
The honeybee. So Shat Padaihi is the honeybee. It goes towards the lotus flower or the flowers. It has got 6 legs, and that is compared this honeybee which goes towards the lotus flower. Shat Padaihi Pepiyamanam. It goes towards the lotus flower for the honey. That is compared to Sajjana.
Sajjana
is
means men.
good people who are going towards the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata to drink the honey of the wisdom. Okay, on the subject, on this particular, he's putting it so beautifully. He's saying all the honeybees which go towards the flowers to drink the honey. They are like all these 2-legged insects, the human beings, who go towards the Mahabharata or the Bhagavad Gita to drink from the deep wisdom of the Mahabharata. Why does he say that? Because the Mahabharata, the people who have really read it, okay, I'm not talking about reading the abridged versions. No, most of us have read abridged one. Most of us are not happy with anything beyond 200 pages, right? So we want to compress there are people who have compressed it for us. I'm not saying it is not a good idea, because it is better to have upar ka idea than to have no idea at all. And therefore you have people who have given you a 200 pages book of Mahabharata. Then there are people who have given you 600 pages book of Mahabharata. Then there are people who have given you 6,000 pages of Mahabharata, which is the original text. There is somebody called K.M. Ganguly who has translated the whole thing into English. So for those of us who are not familiar with Sanskrit, of course, it's very difficult to read that, but it's a beautiful text. But anyway, if you can't read Sanskrit, at least read the original text. So he's saying here that original text has so many verses that it covers every subject you can think of. So that's why this deep wisdom, you go towards the Mahabharata, you read it properly, anything you can think of is there. Religion is there, philosophy is there, psychology is there, politics is there, human vengeance is there. Anything you think of, it is all there. And therefore, in the end of the Mahabharata, actually, he refers to this. Vyasacharya refers to this. Here there's a beautiful little verse in the Mahabharata itself. Dharme cha arthe cha kame cha mokshe cha he Bharat Arshava. Bharat Arshava is what? What is the meaning of Bharat Arshava?
Bharat Arshava.
Okay, you don't know.
Light. Abha is light.
Arshava is a bull. Bharat Arshava means Bharato me Arshava, the bull among the Bharata race. What is peculiar about a bull? Bull is outstanding among all the cows.
Strength.
Right.
Yes,
Bull is
strength.
taken as the strongest one, outstanding. Therefore, Bharat Arshava is a name for Arjuna. Oh, foremost among the Bharata race. So, Dharme cha Arthe cha Kame cha Mokshe cha. About Dharma, about Arthaha, about Kamaha, about Mokshaha. These 4 topics, they cover anything you can think of. And he says, Yad iha asti tad anyatra yat na iha asti na tat kvachita. Which means he says, what is not there in the Mahabharata, it will not be found anywhere else in the world. and whatever is found elsewhere in the world, all that you will find in Mahabharatam also. And therefore he says, Yad iha hasti, whatever is there here. Iha here means the Mahabharata. Yad iha hasti, whatever is here, tad anyatra, it is there in the world. So whatever is in the world is there in the Mahabharata. Yad iha na asti, whatever is not discussed in the Mahabharata, na tat kvachita, it cannot be found anywhere else in the world. And because of this richness of the Mahabharata, all the students are attracted to the Mahabharata like the honeybee. And therefore they have a reverence toward the Mahabharata. Such people are called Sajjanaha, the good, the noble people, those who have understood their real purpose in life. So superficially, the Mahabharata is only a history, only a story. But you go behind it, you go deep into it, you find that everything that you are exposed to in your life in this world is there. And therefore he says, Aharaha Pepiyamanam. Ahara, Ahara. Ahar is what? Aha means day. So aha. There are ahara, ahara. Daily, day after day. Pepiyamanam. Enjoy it. So they, day after day, they enjoy the honey of wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita. And then third line, loke, in this world. So first they study, then they get the meaning, and pepiyamanam muda. Muda means happily, pepiyamanam, they are drinking what? The honey of the Mahabharata. So all of us are compared to honeybees, and the honeybee daily drinks the honey from the lotus flower. Similarly, the students, they happily drink the honey from the Mahabharata lotus. Okay. What word is left?
Ajay?
Kalimala Pradvamsi, right? This is the fourth line. Kalimala Pradvamsi, that word is left. So Kali is Kali Yuga. What is Kali Yuga known for? Competition, compromise, lack of religion, cutthroat, all values have gone. That is what is the state of the Kali Yuga. There will be cheating, there will be competition, there will be betting. The very word Kali means to fight and quarrel. So this is the nature of Kali Yuga. And when there is materialism in the world, our mind will also be affected by that, because the mind is constantly in contact with the world. And so here we are saying that if you cannot avoid the contact with the world, you have to work, you have relatives, you have to interact with them. You can't go to Himalayas and sit over there. And even if you go to Himalayas and sit over there, you still have to go to the shop to get some food, right? Contact with the world cannot be avoided. So if you want to be not affected by the impurities of the Kali Yuga, Malam. So he says Kali Malaha, the impurity of Kali Yuga. Pradvamsi. Pradvamsi is to destroy. The Pradvamsi is a destroyer. Pradvamsaha is destruction. And therefore Kali Mala Pradvamsi means the destroyer of the Malam of Kali Yuga. So if you want not to be affected by the impurities of Kali Yuga, may you go to that Mahabharata, may you strengthen me, may you strengthen my family, may you strengthen my society. This is what is Mahabharata Namaskara. Okay, so with this we'll stop for today. As you know, this is the way we do the study, because this one verse has taken us 45 minutes. You can multiply 45 minutes into 700 verses and you will have an approximate time of how many hours we need.
आचार्य,
हाँ जी,
जो आपने वर्ष कोट किया था महाभारत के बारे में कि जो यहाँ पर है वो
हाँ जी।
सब संसार में है, वो यहाँ वो किसने लिखा है?
महाभारत में।
वो ये महाभारत में ही है?
हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल जी। Do you want to know the exact what do you call location?
Maybe. Yes, just because it's such a beautiful verse.
I can give you the location. One second, just let me find it. So the Mahabharata has how many books? Do you know?
मुझे बिल्कुल ध्यान नहीं है। आपका लेक्चर सुन के पहली बारी इसमें इंटरेस्ट आ रहा है।
Okay, the reference is the 18th chapter, the 18th book, not chapter, 18th book, 5th chapter, 38th verse.
Oh, 18 point
18.05.38. So you must know what it means. 18th book.
yeah, and 5th chapter and
Each
8th
book is
verse.
called a parva. So that 18th book, 5th chapter, that is the verse number. You can look at it.
Raviji, Pranam, little curious. I want to know how many books Mahabharata has.
18.
Only
18.
18 books.
Yes.
In 100,000 verses.
Yeah. Each book has several chapters. Like some of the books have up to 65 chapters and all. So
Oh my God. Okay. Thank you.
see, it's not possible for us to go through all those individual verses unless you are a scholar, and they are all in particular verse. Okay, so to chant is very simple because it's all in that same style as the Bhagavad Gita. So chanting is simple, but unless you know, there is no real point. Blind chanting makes no. That is why the essence is being given. Essence is good enough. Essence is the Mahabharata, is the Gita.
आचार्य,
What is
sorry,
Sorry.
आप
Right.
बोलिए।
what is the
thank-
meaning of the word abodhitam?
अबोधितम।
Abodhitam is the knowledge.
Okay.
So
आचार्य, जब आपने 7th वर्स रिसाइट किया था, चांट किया था, तो उसमें सेकंड लाइन में ब्रेक was not नाना क्या
Nana
केस
Kyanaka Kesaram.
हम्म,
Nana Kyanaka Kesaram Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam.
तो ब्रेक यहीं आएगा, नाना ख्यानक केसरम।
Kyanaka is like. So
हाँ,
Nana
like,
Kyanaka, like many
Kyanaka.
stories. Kesaram.
But
Kesaram
we
is the
say
filling.
Nana Akhyanaka Kesaram.
That is the breakup.
Okay.
When you break it up,
So
it's
once we
Nana
do
Kyanaka.
Sandhi Vichhed,
Sandhi
we
breaks
pronounce
it
them
Nana Akhyana.
Akhyanaka.
Yeah, Kesar.
So A plus
Nana.
A is still A only. Nana plus
Nana
Akhyana is still A
Akhyana.
only. Therefore, Nana Akhyana is Nana plus Akhyana. So Sandhi,
आख्यानक।
little bit of Sandhi, if you know, it makes it easy. Otherwise, you just accept what I'm saying and that's fine. So
Yeah.
Either way.
Just one question, Ji.
हाँ जी.
Pepiyamana Mudha. What is Mudha, Ji?
Muda is Moda,
मोद,
happy.
खुशी,
That is-
खुशी।
Happiness. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
you
Ji.
will
Which
find
parv was it, Acharya ji?
हाँ जी,
Which parv was it? Parv.
18.
18 chapter, which parv? Parv. Bhisham parv, Dron parv.
The chapters are called the parvas, no?
Acha.
Each chapter is a parva. So Karna Parva, for example, is the 8th chapter. Sorry, the 8th book. Book
Right.
is called a parva.
Raviji, where do
Thank
we
you.
get this book? Written by K.M. Ganguly.
I can share it. I've got it. I'll share it with you.
Please
But
share it in the group, Ji.
Please remember that it is extremely, it's a what you call literal translation, and therefore it is extremely poetic in nature. It's all that, very poetic English. You may not find it easy to read.
Oh, is it?
You have to struggle with it a bit. It's not prose. It is the literal translation that he has done.
Is it something like Hindi translation written by Dinanath Dinesh?
I am not familiar with that. But if you are familiar with Hindi, it's a better, Hindi translation is better read than English translation. But I don't,
हाँ, हिंदी का दीनानाथ दिनेश का, I have grown.
I think Gita Press has got one translation. You can look at that also.
हाँ, वही गीता प्रेस का ही है,
अच्छा.
गीता प्रेस का ही है।
Raviji, I just wanted to know now, you shared a book for this classes, right? And
Sushila, you've frozen.
PDF. I would like to give for me too.
Sushila, we didn't hear what you said. You froze.
Sir, can I ask a question in the meanwhile?
Sushila, yeah,
Froze. Sorry, I lost you in between. I couldn't hear.
Yeah, we didn't hear what you said. Can you just repeat, Sushila?
Yeah, this Bhagavad Gita book for this class, which you shared with us in PDF.
Yeah.
If you can recommend which book we need to buy, maybe if we get in Amazon or in any bookshop, we can buy the book itself, so that will be good for a reference.
The same one?
Yeah, because you'll be taking class through that book only, right? In
Yeah.
that text.
So that is any chanting book. You'll find the one I use normally. I'll show you what I use. It's a very, I'll show you a better version than the one I'm using. The one I'm using is all tattered.
Okay.
You know what? This is the one which you can buy is this one. You see?
Yeah. Okay. I got it. It's written by?
This is Gita Press. No, this is Giri Trading Agency. But Gita
Giri
Press
Trading.
also has.
Okay.
Raviji, can you just show that again, please?
It's just any book which gives you the Moolam, you know, there's only the Moolam, there's only Sanskrit, doesn't have English, nothing is there.
So we need to find a book with English as well, right?
I don't know.
Can I share something, Raviji, if permitted? Because when you send this, what I did was, I didn't know where it was. We actually took a printout and put a spiral, and it's so convenient.
That's
because
also
the book,
equally good. If you don't want to spend money, that is the best way to do.
Yeah, that's really convenient.
But I think many of you are very computer friendly, so you can probably use the PDF copy itself.
Yeah, it's so friendly. And could you completely read the verse of today, Ji, before we close?
Okay, we'll go once.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes, Manu.
Sir, the last line which is there, that if you do not want to get affected by the impurities of Kali Yuga, then what? Like then the study helps. Is that what it means?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the Mahabharata study will protect you from
all the impurities.
Then the Mahabharata.
When we are saying Mahabharata, we are talking Gita, right? Gita is the essence of the Mahabharata. The fragrance, as he said, of the lotus flower is the Gita itself. Okay, so we need to close because there's another class starting shortly. So I'll just do this seventh verse once again. You don't have to repeat. I'll just chant it out. Parasarya vachasarojam amalam Gitarthagandhotkatam Nana Khyanaka Kesaram Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Shatpadair Har Har Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuyat Bharat Pankajam Kalimala Radhvam Sinnaf Shreyase. One more thing is that I don't know how many of you are in the chanting classes. I would strongly recommend that those of you who are serious about the class should join at least 2 of the chanting classes every week. There are 4 of them every week. If you can join 2 of them, it will help you to understand. As you chant, the words become clearer. So it helps you to understand what is being taught also. The chanting itself has 2 advantages. One is that you begin to understand. The other is that the chanting of the Gita generates punyam. That punyam we can always use. Like all of us need punyam to keep ourselves free of disturbances. So with this, I'll stop. Thank you for your participation and patience. We will see you next week, next Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you, Acharya.
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you so much, Raviji. Thanks a
much.
lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Ravi.
Om